Joining us now for a reaction is South Carolina Republican Congressman Ralph Norman, who joins us from Charlotte. And here in Washington is Richard Goodstein. He's smiling like the cat who ate the canary. He's an attorney, Democratic strategist friend. Great to see both of you. All right, Congressman, I got to start with you. You guys got the House, you got the Senate, and you got the White House. And now we have a spendorama, which I imagine Barack Obama must be watching this somewhere comfortably and thinking, man, I got to hand it to you guys. You guys can do it better than I can. You can spend that money better than I can. What's going on here, Congressman?
Well, Laura's unacceptable. What did you say, dead fish? That's what I think this spending bill is, the Omnibus. You know, it's really an insult to get a 2,200-page document and get 16 hours to read it. If you do the math, I have to read 137 pages an hour and digest it. And now we're on a 2-week vacation? Really? The system is broken. We've gotten the 12 appropriations over back in September. And, you know, we've got to make a change, and I'm tired of it. And I, along with a lot of other members, I'm a member of the Freedom Caucus. We voted against the rule today. We're not elected to bankrupt this country. And as Congressman said, you know, we are saddling our children with debt. If you do the math, for every taxpayer, it's a little under $200,000.
Oh, it's stunning.
That's sad.
It's stunning. And I got to play this. I got to play this soundbite for you guys. Nancy Pelosi, who also seemed very happy, she had an extra spring in her step today, said this. Let's watch.
It's interesting to see from the standpoint of regular order why the Republicans thought that that would be a good idea. Well, I think one of the reasons they rushed it through, posting it last night, taking it to rules on the floor today, not honoring the 3-day rule, they didn't want their Republican colleagues to see just exactly what was in the bill.
Well, she's famously said you have to pass it to see what's in it. It's 2,000 plus pages. We stacked it up last night, guys. And no one's reading this bill, let's face it. You vote on it, you get the heck out of town. The Senate looks like it's going to vote on it tonight because they see what's the writings on the wall. Richard Goodstein, look, I'm embarrassed tonight as a Republican. And that might not sell on TV, and maybe other networks are going to do all sex all the time. Maybe they'll have higher ratings. But I find this to be really important. We do not have the money for this spending. Republicans campaigned on this. And Democrats, look, if I'm you, I'm like sitting back on, what do we have to do now?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I feel your pain, seriously. I know where you've been and where Sean and others have been on deficit spending. At least when Barack Obama was running up trillion-dollar deficits, we had the Great Recession to recover from. Everybody's boasting now about how great this economy is, and to run trillion-dollar deficits in the face of that really is not right. And you talked with Sean earlier about sticking to promises, whether it's the border wall or balancing the budget or bringing coal jobs back. Yeah, as you put it, Donald Trump knew how to win the election. With all due respect, he knew how to win the election by saying things that everybody who knew policy knew he couldn't deliver on.
No, I didn't. Actually, I don't agree with you. You can build a wall. We can put a man on the moon. We can do all the innovation we've done in technology. I think America could solve pretty much any big problem ahead of it if it wants to. But in Washington, Richard, it's both Republicans and Democrats. I'm not letting Democrats off the hook because they're big spenders too. They just want to keep it all going because the lobbyists get paid, the lawyers get all the money. I'm a former lawyer. Believe me, it's nice to charge $700 an hour. But the American people demand real accountability. What bang are we getting for this buck here? Is it really going to make all those millennials safer and more prosperous and happier? Congressman, you can chime in here, but look, the Democrats didn't get everything they want, obviously. Republicans, no one's going to get everything they want. I'm not going to come here tonight saying the president was going to get everything. But it seems to me he has an opportunity or had an opportunity to go to the American people and say, I campaigned on this. I think this is critical for the future of the country. If the government has to shut down because both parties don't want to protect our country, that's really sad, but maybe we need to have a conversation about that. I think he had to do that.
Well, and you can't let this process continue with the threat of a shutdown. You know, I was perfectly willing to have a shutdown and sit up in Washington, D.C. for 6 months or as long as it takes to not have the giveaway programs that we've had. Now, the Democrats are a huge part of this. Look what if you look at the vote today on the rule, which all the rule was is allowing the budget to be voted on. It barely passed 211 to 207, and 182 Democrats.
Of course, you needed the
voted
Democrats. They don't have enough Republicans, Congressman. They needed the Democrat votes. And of course the Democrats are going to support this. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they support it? They're going to support it. We got to get to Bolton, guys. We got to get to Bolton. This is huge news, and I'm sorry, I'll hold you both for an hour. John Bolton is replacing H.R. McMaster. And my goodness, MSNBC and others were in a total meltdown. World War III is about to happen. Let's watch.
John Bolton is known as a hardliner, clearly different than others in the administration now on the Iran agreement, for example, and it points to danger signals.
So many millions of voters voted against in 2016 who voted against stupid wars and bringing the biggest hawk there's ever been and put him as head of national security is awful.
For John Bolton, he is the hammer and everything is a nail.
I've always loved that phrase, but come on, Richard, the idea that Bolton is going to like order Trump around. Okay, you're going to go to war in country X. I don't think so. Trump is not a military interventionist, even if John Bolton's more of a neocon, your view.
But he's impressionable, the president is. I mean, the explanation was, well, McMaster was more fond of the Iran deal, and therefore Trump had to get rid of him.
A lot.
Well, what my point is, though, we knew where he was. The Iran deal was a live issue during the campaign. Yeah. To say now, well, I hired this guy who didn't agree with me, why didn't you ask him when you hired him? And the fact is, John Bolton seems to be more interventionist, right? And at the same time that the president's thumping his chest about meeting with Kim Jong-un, maybe doing away with the North Korean nuclear threat, if we rip up that Iran deal within months, maybe, we don't know how many, Iran's going to be a nuclear threat in a region that's a tinderbox.
Yeah, so. I think, Congressman, I think Bolton, he does have a lot of experience, obviously, at the UN. He knows the swamp, been in Washington for some time. Doesn't agree with the president. President does like to have these differing views on his staff still, I think. Your reaction to this, another shakeup tonight?
It's a great hire. We've had Bolton in meetings on Capitol Hill. He's knowledgeable. He's straightforward. He will not agree with this president if he really doesn't think it's in the best interest of the country. But one thing good about the President Trump, he encouraged that. Now, he is going to be the one to make the final decision. But John Bolton, I have the highest respect for. He is. We have not interviewed anybody in the meetings that I've had where he hasn't answered every question. He sat for an hour and a half to two talking about foreign policy. That's his bailiwick. That's what he likes. And I applaud the president for and the press, MSNBC, when have you ever heard them compliment this president on anything?
Never. He could, again, cure lung cancer, and they'd be like, why didn't you do it 2 weeks ago? I mean.